Good evening. Welcome to the council meeting of November 24th, 2025. This meeting is being live streamed on the Town of Kentville's YouTube channel. This meeting is called to order at 5 p.m. I note tonight that we have regrets from Councillor Maxwell and Councillor Baker. However, we do have quorum. Begin tonight with a land acknowledgement. I respectfully acknowledge that we are in the traditional and unceded land of the Mi'kmaq people. We honor their deep connection to this land, past, present, and future. And I also recognize and honor the contributions and heritage of African Nova Scotians, whose ancestors have shaped and enriched this community for generations. Are there any conflict of interest issues we should be made aware of before the meeting commences? Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a conflict with the closed session 8D, sale of municipal property. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have one with 8B, lease of municipal property. We have a proposed agenda in front of us. Are there any changes to this agenda? There being none, I would take a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Deputy Mayor Crowell, Councillor Andrew as a seconder. All those in favor? Those opposed? Okay, motion is carried. We have a set of minutes from the October 27th council meeting. Are there any changes to this set of minutes?
Yes.
Okay, Councillor Andrew.
I'm listed as present, however, I was not in Nova Scotia at the time.
Okay.
And it had me confused for a bit, but I'm quite certain I was not there.
Perfect, thank you. And you have that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We're now going to move on to recommendations and reports. The first one is regarding the noise bylaw. The recommendation is that council give second reading to bylaw 202 respecting noise. If someone would like to move that, moved by Deputy Mayor Crowell and a seconder.
I'll second.
Councillor Savage. Is there any discussion on that? Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Mayor, through you to the CAO. I just wanted to make a couple of comments on this. In terms of the amended version that we did in 2022, that was an improvement to enforce points of measurement inside and out. I've gone back over this a number of times, and I don't recall in 2022, but we must have, rescinding the piece in good order, but clearly we must have. So I'll just speak to the new proposed bylaw for second reading. I'll just make a note. Quite frankly, it matters not to me what other towns and municipalities are doing. I see that the County of Kings continues to use the decibel reader. I do like 3.2 that pertains to the dumping part, but I would like to see the decibel piece maintained in this bylaw, this proposed bylaw 201 at second reading. And I realize it's second reading, and then the meetings start after this, but that is my comment. If perhaps you have a comment around that.
Anything?
For myself? Just the first part, the piece in good order, my understanding is still in existence, so that hasn't been repealed or anything at this point in time.
Okay.
There was discussion at the last meeting, though, that I suggested that it probably could be
Yes.
repealed because most of those provisions are already under other legislation.
Yes. Okay.
And the other part about the decibel reading, we've talked about it with the police, looked at what other jurisdictions are doing, and although it may not matter what others are doing, which is to some degree accurate, it's not enforceable from the police perspective, or it's very difficult to enforce. And if you look around the province, those that have decibel readings, they're not enforcing it because it's so hard to enforce. And those that are trying to enforce it, if someone was to go to court, it's almost always getting thrown out because of all the rules and regulations and things around it. So this is seen as, if we want to enforce some noise bylaw, as long as the resident's willing to sign an affidavit and go to court, there is the ability to enforce it now versus a noise reading is so subjective. It's so hard to determine that. Mm-hmm. And if you rely solely on the noise or a noise meter, it's virtually impossible to enforce, so.
So if I could have a follow-up question through, again, through the mayor to you. When a decibel reading is taken and it is recorded, presumably by a bylaw officer or whomever, that can still be debated in court as to whether it was used correctly or?
That's correct, because it could be, where did you take the reading from?
Okay,
So is it a specific part of the property, or does it have to be
Right.
public property?
okay,
Does it apply if the person who's the complainant has their window open? And they're saying, my window's open, but the noise inside my house is too loud because I want my window open in the summertime.
okay,
It comes back to the courts will look at, has the noise meter been calibrated recently? Who calibrated? Are they appropriate company to calibrate it? Who was it bought from originally? Is it a professional, commercial grade system that's been tested and proven it's accurate? And then it comes back to, how did you determine 55 or 60 was noisy? In some neighborhoods, it may not be noisy. In other neighborhoods, it may be noisy, because a couple trucks driving down your street would exceed that. And so how did you determine 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes
okay.
of noise is excessive? So there's so many variables with a noise meter that it's so hard. And once a lawyer gets in there, starts asking those things, what I've seen in the past, the judge has just said, you guys need to work this out between neighbors.
Okay,
And
okay.
not bring this before the court. We have more important business. So.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hamilton.
So I'm going to follow what Councillor Savage said. The concerns that I've heard with this is that somebody could be very subjective. And if they had any kind of bias with the person that they were dealing with. So I don't know what the answer is because with the monitor, then it seems more objective than just somebody saying you're making too much noise and I don't like it. Whereas that it gives you an actual reading. So I don't know, and then you get into whether it's discrimination or not, and that's the concerns that I've heard with it as well.
Sure, and it's, much of this is subjective, which is the nature of most laws in Nova Scotia. So even if it's disturbing the peace or things like that, it's all based on the witness testimony or the neighbor, the complainant's testimony. It's based on the evidence of the law enforcement officer at the time. And they try to determine a threshold, then it goes to the Crown prosecutor, and they determine, is this something that they agree should go forward to court before the judge? And at the end of the day, the judge makes that decision. So it's, most of the laws in Nova Scotia are subjective, and this is no different. This, though, allows it to be moved very quickly versus trying to justify and explain in court, not that the noise is annoying, but that your machine or your mechanism is an appropriate way to measure the noise. And so that's probably what will end up in the court, is you'll argue over technology as opposed to the noise. And you want to focus on the noise. So.
Councillor Andrew.
Yeah, I think of some of it as just being neighbors. And, like and some of it's having a conversation. So our home has our kids and then other kids, and there's a pool and there's a trampoline and there's all kinds of, and there's no question we would be above in excess of any standard anywhere at certain times. But just in the conversations, even just Halloween the other night, taking the kids just around the neighborhood and just saying, you probably can count our kids by the voices, and then people are like, no, I just love hearing, and just sometimes just that conversation, I just love hearing kids play. And then suddenly everyone's friendly, and I think sometimes we have to get out of our comfort zone and go have a conversation with someone, and that's just a whole lot kinder and helps build bridges far beyond making a call to any authority. So that's just my thought on it.
All right, I will call for the question that council gives second reading to bylaw 202 respecting noise. Voting is now open. And voting is now closed. And the motion is carried. Thank you. The next item is flag policy. We have a recommendation that council approve policy 102 pertaining to flags. Someone could move that. Deputy Mayor Kroll and Councillor Hamilton as a seconder. Is there any discussion on this? So the recommendation is that council approve policy 102 for flags. And voting is now open. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. The next recommendation is about reduced taxation. So the recommendation is that council give first reading to bylaw 202 respecting reduced taxation. Moved by Councillor Savage and a seconder, Councillor Andrew. Any discussion on this one? Okay, so the question is the council give first reading to bylaw 202 respecting reduced taxation, and voting is now open. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. We now move on to another recommendation that council give first reading to bylaw 203, regulations of connecting and discharging to town sewer system. Moved by Councillor Savage and a seconder, Councillor Andrew. Is there any discussion on this? All right. So the question is that council give first reading to bylaw 203, regulations of connecting and discharging to town sewer system, and voting is now open. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. Our last recommendation is proposed policy 203 regarding workplace harassment. The recommendation is that council approve policy 203 respecting workplace harassment. Moved by Councillor Savage and a seconder, Deputy Mayor Kroll. Any discussion on this? There being none, I'll call for the question that council approve policy 203 respecting workplace harassment, and the voting is now open. You got to talk to it. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. That concludes recommendations. I now move on to council reports. They're all in the package. For those of us that are here tonight, are there any questions based on any of those reports? Guess we're a quiet bunch tonight. So those reports are in our package. We now move on to item 6A, which is a report regarding code of conduct investigations. Is there anything you want to add to that, CAO, or?
No.
Okay, I'm just going to make a little statement regarding those. They're in your package. You'll see the totals there, the costs for those violations that were reported. Or I just want to say, as the mayor, though, I want to talk honestly about what happened with the recent code of conduct complaints. There were 3 complaints filed, and 2 were completely dismissed, with no breaches found at all. The third had one small issue that the councillor had already acknowledged and apologized for. Council looked at everything and agreed that no further action was needed. But the part that concerns me, even though these complaints didn't amount to much, the process still cost the people of Kentville over $25,000. For something like that, in the end, nothing changed. It improved nothing and gave the community no real return on investment. And when I think about that number, I'm not thinking about the paperwork or the legal invoices. I'm thinking about what could have been done with those funds. This could have been a good start to a downtown public washroom or other infrastructure upgrades. Or we could have supported programs that help residents and local businesses in real tangible ways. Instead, the money went into dealing with complaints that delivered virtually no value to the community. I believe people absolutely have the right to file complaints because accountability does matter. But as the mayor, I look at the impact, and the impact here was $25,000 gone with no meaningful return for the people who paid for it. Every dollar this town spends belongs to the people who live here. We owe it to you to use it wisely. Other municipalities have paid even more for similar investigations, but that didn't make this price tag any easier to accept. For a town our size, $25,000 certainly matters, and it could have made a difference. So we need to take a hard look at these situations similar to this and ask ourselves, is this good for our community? And did this really help Kentville? In this case, the answer was very limited, and I guess all we can take from this is learning to do better next time. I guess that concludes the business of the night. Open the floor to public comments, and there's no public here, so we'll move right along to in-camera business. We require a motion to go in camera. Moved by Councillor Savage and Deputy Mayor Kroll as a seconder. All those in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. Going in camera at 5:18.